Yo, what's up, boys? This is the HyperPod, and this is the first episode where we're just gonna go over the market, say what we're doing, where we're losing money, and just what we're currently doing in the crypto world. How you doing, CryptoCobean?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last time your people's moving, this time my peep is moving.
Yeah. We'll alternate. I'm sure
Yeah.
there will be one of the streams where we both get it working, and that'll be the absolute top.
Or bottom. Yeah. So what have you been up to?
To be honest, we can just talk about general market stuff, I suppose. So the Bitcoin's been in a small mini downtrend for like the last 2 weeks, and everyone on Twitter is what's it called? Going out of their mind. They're going crazy with the bearishness.
Yeah.
On my feed, at least. How's it been on your side?
On my feed, it's been quite hopeful, and honestly, I still am hopeful. I don't know if you saw my tweet that I think as long as we hold 100K, which in fact was a pretty big bounce from that area. In my opinion, as long as we hold 100K here, it's pretty good. And if it goes below that, I think I'm just going to short and close my eyes and hold that short for as long as I can. I really don't want to see it below 100K again.
I'm a little bit, so I'm like kind of looking at weekly and stuff, right? Weekly, only for Bitcoin. Like everything is like surviving on its last two legs, on its last leg. So like Bitcoin weekly looks okay, I reckon. I think it can go down to 90K and still be fine.
Wait, is there a way we can like share screen so like we can see your chart while we talk? Like Donna and CryptoCred do?
Oh, that's difficult.
That's another big step already.
Yeah. Let's leave that for next time. But I know exactly what the chart looks like in my mind. So
same.
I've stared at it for long enough. Even not the 5 minute. I've stared at the 4 hour for long enough. I don't think to go lower than that.
But yeah, I think on the weekly it still looks good. Daily looks good. Honestly, recently, like since I'm pretty busy with other things, I'm only just looking at weekly and daily charts. And honestly, just looking at Bitcoin and the Hyperliquid, nothing else.
Yeah, that's primarily what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Bitcoin mainly. ETH only because it's like, it's trying to bait you. It looks good, and then it just rugs the entire market.
Yeah. But honestly, as soon as Ethereum starts looking good, that you start saying this is the time ETH pumps, that's usually when we get a dump. It's crazy. Yeah. It's been like this for the past, I don't know, year now?
No, not even a year. It's been going since like the beginning of 2023.
Yeah, true.
Since we first like moved up from 16K.
Yeah,
I still remember everyone was on Twitter was memeing that Bitcoin would go to like 100K and ETH would still be at 2K, and it actually turned out that way.
Yeah, honestly, I have no plans on owning ETH spot, but as a trade, I would just wait for it. Like if it reclaims 4K, then I would long it for all-time highs. But if you want to hold ETH spot, I don't know what's wrong with you, but yeah, probably between 2K and 2,500, it's a nice spot. But as a trade, it's chopped as fuck. I would just wait for it to reclaim 4K and go to all time.
I think my situation is a bit different. I've got so much ETH and I just can't get rid of it because it's such a bad, it's such a bad place to sell. Where do you sell?
Damn.
I've got so much. I just.
But what's your perspective? Like, do you think? Because usually what happens when let's not talk about ETH specifically, but like any crypto coin in general. Usually when people start making fun of it, that it's the most cooked asset and nobody wants to own it or whatever.
Yeah.
Usually that's when it bottoms and then goes on a hated rally that everybody's sidelined. But it has gone so far to the point that now people joke on the fact that it's going to have a hated rally. Therefore, it might not ever have a hated rally. You know what I mean?
We're invalidating the invalidating thesis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I feel like ETH is still what? ETH is like a $400 billion asset.
Too
Crypto
much.
asset. So yeah, it's very hard to like start moving. It doesn't have the same what's it called? Same effect that Bitcoin has, where it can just change its narrative
Yeah.
to fit whatever purpose or whatever the environment is, which Bitcoin does very, very well. That's what I've observed. And ETH there's just faster tech now. So it's very difficult to judge the future of Ethereum.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but most of the like chains, like layer twos and things that people generally do use, say Arbitrum or Hyperliquid, like EVM based chains, they all work on Ethereum or using Ethereum tech. So that's the only like thesis I can think of where Ethereum might do well. But
Yeah.
but like narrative is like a whole other thing. Other people need to think that as well. And then buy my bags.
And like, I feel like Ethereum has an identity crisis because it wants to be like it's not Bitcoin, it's not Solana fast cheap, it's not Hyperliquid new tech.
Yeah.
It's just like it's this. Like I've been saying this. I remember as a joke in 2023. I said I feel like Ethereum is just considered a Dino coin now, like Litecoin, Cardano, and Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, I don't think it's that far because there's so many stables on Ethereum, right? So like Ethereum has security, it has decentralization. That's one of the only things it's good for. So it's a little bit. I think it's less decentralized than Bitcoin, but it still has functionality, more functionality than Bitcoin. So it's in the middle ground.
Yeah.
But just because it has so much infrastructure doesn't mean that the Ethereum price will go up.
Yeah,
like,
true.
There's something they tried doing the deflationary tokenomics.
Yeah,
but people need to use mainnet for it to work, for it to happen.
Yeah, it's insane, honestly. But wait, honestly, the other day I was talking to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Because, all right, I'm trying to vibe code my way to financial freedom. And so I don't know if I just mentioned what I'm trying to build, but okay, let's say I'm building a platform that has nothing to do with crypto. It's purely Web 2, but in the back end, it's built on Hyperliquid, and but any other chain could be it. And the reason why I got attracted to Solana at first was the fact that it was fast and cheap.
Yes.
That's Solana's sell point, and it works. It does what it does great. Yeah, it sucks that most people took advantage of it for like meme coins and shit instead of actually building. Not they're not building other stuff, but anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's talk about gas fees, bro. Because pretty much with this platform that I'm building, it's purely for replacing a platform on. That's built on Web 2 tech. And when people use this platform, they just sign up, email, password, maybe create a username, and then they have access to the platform. But they don't know that it's built on, I don't know, Cloudflare, Amazon Web Service, or whatever. They don't need to know, right? And that's the same for Hyperliquid, if it's in the backend. The issue is, how do we plan? Why should one thing a lot of people say is like crypto still hasn't found its breakthrough app.
Yeah.
Let's say there is a breakthrough app, but then there are gas fees. Like, how do I explain this? Let's say you're on Uber. Uber is a Web 2 service as of now.
Yep.
If it were built on Ethereum, it's kind of annoying because then if a lot of people are ordering Uber at the same time across the globe, do gas fees go up? Does it become more expensive?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
More people using it, the higher the gas fees.
exactly, how do we plan to make crypto go mainstream if gas fees are a thing? Like like I'm looking purely as a user, and like whenever I try to build these things, I try to think of like my parents that they're trying to use this app. Like,
Yeah.
how will we create a platform that's in the backend built on crypto, even if the UI and UX is exactly like it would be built on Web 2? But when it comes down to the payment, do the gas fees get implemented in the one price that the user sees when paying? But that means that if it's higher, then it's up to the company to cover those fees.
No, I think
like from a big picture thing, how will we make crypto go mainstream if we have gas fees? That's pretty much what I'm trying to say.
I think the infrastructure has to change. Not you can't the company shouldn't take responsibility or what's called cover the extra fees, because covering extra fees is a big bit of a problem, because it becomes quite a what's the word for it? It becomes quite a liability. So the more popular you are, the more people use your app, the more you have to pay or shell out.
Exactly.
You don't know, or you might not know how much it's going to be, or how much the costs are going to end up. So it's very. But I know Solana was doing, or might have done already. I haven't kept track of it too much, but they had like protocol specific or app specific gas fees, where you localize the gas fees. So demand is based on
like hotspots, pretty much.
Yeah, like a single app or protocol. It's not based on the entire blockchain. So that way, like, if one app has a very, very high demand and is causing the gas fees to increase, it won't affect another app on the same blockchain, which I thought was quite a smart thing to do.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Which brings me back now to Hyperliquid. Like, I know that EVM has much better dev tooling that is much easier to build on EVM than SVM from Solana.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's where Chewing Glass was born, when EVM devs were trying to build on Solana and they were having a hard time with the whole Rust thing or whatever. And this makes me think, like, why do you think Hyperliquid went with HyperEVM instead of like HyperSVM if it allows for better, like it's cheaper, faster? I don't know. It might be a dumb question, but I've been wondering.
Well, if you think of it like an L2, for example, then you maintain security and you allow for cheaper transactions. You use Ethereum's main security, and you get faster transactions with less gas fees, because you're on a kind of slightly different blockchain. It's more centralized, which is why they have to decentralize the blockchain as time goes on. Mm-hmm. I believe that's what their the Hyperliquid team's plan is.
Yeah, they say it's like progressive decentralization.
Yeah, and that's the only real way to do decentralization. To be honest, Bitcoin did it in the beginning. There was like 2 or 3 validators, and then they like decentralized the entire. Over time, it becomes more decentralized. Same with Ethereum, and Solana is kind of building towards that as well. So I think it's the correct approach. Yeah,
I agree. But then again, like the whole decentralization, there are 2 ways of thinking about this. One is being in crypto and being someone that works in the back end and stuff that cares about decentralization. But there's the other perspective of just a user that wants to build something for anyone in real life that doesn't eventually know about crypto. Then it becomes like a whole different question of why do we even care about decentralization? We've been using all these apps that are not centralized, that are not decentralized at all, and they work fine. So
the thing, I understand what you're saying, but like the thing with decentralization is it doesn't matter until it does. So like, what's it called? Until something big or some like catastrophe happens, or there's a hack and whatever, the entire centralized network goes down, or there's a malicious, one of the three malicious, one of the three validators are malicious, then like in a centralized network that would go down quite quickly. But if it's decentralized, with significantly more validators, they'd be, it'd be harder to hack, or to hack the blockchain.
Yeah,
so
exactly. It's funny because I don't remember who the guy was. I think he was the founder or something of Mega ETH.
Yeah.
That said, if you think Hyperliquid validators is too little with 4 validators, imagine when you find out Mega ETH has only 1 validator. But honestly, I kind of agree with that. It's like the more validators, the slower the network technically becomes, because like you cannot meet. I honestly I'm not a backend guy, but I was reading quite a good explanation on this on Twitter of like the actual physics behind it.
Yeah.
Behind decentralizing that, like because of physics and the speed of light, the more decentralized something is, the slower it becomes.
Yeah, because it has to interact with all the other validators to confirm whether a transaction, whether it can go in the ledger, in the blockchain. So like, so that's the age-old question, right? So you can either have security, which is decentralization, or you can have speed, which is centralization, or you can make it cheap. You can have 2 out of the 3. You can't have all 3.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I wonder how Web 2 works in the backend. Like, I guess it's just not. What are they missing? They're missing the decentralization part.
It's just databases and tables. So like, instead of using a blockchain or a ledger where you use time as an aspect, you just fill in rows into a database, into a server that's hosting it, or things like that. It's also very easy to, if you get control of one system, you can get control of the entire network.
Yeah.
1 or 2 systems. Obviously, they create backups and things for big businesses and apps and protocols and things for Web 2. That's the purpose of validators in Web 3, where you don't need backups, because the blockchain itself is a backup. It backs itself up every time there's a new transaction, every time passes. I am long Bitcoin.
Nice. Like trade-wise or spot?
I'm kind of waning off my spot as time goes on, because I think we've only got maybe maximum like end of this year left, and I want to kind of keep my profits, or like keep whatever I made. So I'm like trying to wane off, or like set aside some money.
Yeah.
And only trading really perps, and then maybe some spot in either Bitcoin or Hype, or Solana or ETH, but like not much. And keeping profits set aside as well. So this is mainly perps.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same thought. Like, I'm quite exposed. I think right now I have like 50% stables and 50% deployed, which I'm quite happy, because if it goes up, I mean, I have like, I think of the 50% that's deployed, I have about 48% in Hype, 1% in chit, and 1% in body.
Yeah.
Pretty much my portfolio right now.
I mean, when I say I'm like waning stuff off, I'm 50% stable, but like this is the most stables I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like percentage-wise, this is the most stables I've ever had since I got in 2021.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing though. Like that means you actually make some profits.
Yeah, because actually, you know how so on Twitter, what I heard a couple people like saying was, so the first cycle that you're in, you always make a lot of money, lose a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when you learn for the second cycle to keep your money.
Yeah.
But that second wind in like 2021, like during summer, the NFT season, that second like run up, I feel like that was the second cycle, if you get what I mean, like the second bull market or whatever. So it feels kind of like I'm in my second bull bull run right now. So like,
No, I'm not sure what you mean, to be honest.
I'm sure someone will understand.
Someone will. I wonder if that second, like I'm on the weekly chart on BTC, if they go to the 19th of July 2021.
Yep.
I wonder if that leg that started there was just fueled by the whole fucking Alameda, SPF, Three Arrow Capital mess, or if we have stopped in April regardless of that.
I don't think it mattered too much. I think because even if they were adding leverage, they were adding leverage from the bottom, and if that was the case. So they would have made some profit. But I feel like it started getting bad when Luna started depegging. Because they started doing like rounds, like fundraising rounds, when Luna was at 50, 60 billion. Like that's not a good idea any way you look at it. I mean, I think I was watching an up-only stream where Suzu was saying you have to have, you can't have an ego, and you have to be able to, even if you stop using, but like give up on using a round or going for a round, then you come back to it at a certain point, realize your mistake, and then go for it. If you go from like seed round to like pre-TGE, but 50, 60 billion is not pre-TGE, like especially when it's been out for like 3 years. So I don't really understand that whole concept. Maybe they got they're lost in the source.
For real. I think I have to go soon, but maybe let's to conclude this. Yeah. Are you farming anything like in the HyperEVM? Are you like doing anything in that?
I'm just like farming Felix mainly.
Nice.
And then I've got some LPs on like HyperSwap and HyperFi and like HyperCollective. Sorry, and then HyperBeat as well. Basically anything with hyper in it, I'm in.
Anything that starts with hyper.
Yeah. Nice. What about you?
Yeah, honestly, like as you know, all those things are where when it comes to borrow and lending are two words I very much hate. So I feel like I missed out on the whole HyperFi and Felix. Yeah. But something that I really like is HyperBeat, and that's the main thing I'm farming right now. Oh, also Liminal. I guess the only two things I'm farming are Liminal and HyperBeat, because it's easy. You just deposit your either Hype, USDT, or USDC, whatever you want. Yeah. And then you earn APY, not too much, and you earn like ecosystem points. And so those are I like those easy things where I don't have to worry about liquidation, impermanent loss, or any of those things. I just want to deposit my capital there and chill.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Yeah, those are the only two projects I'm farming. Well, I guess Liquid, what's it called? Liquid Swap or something? Liquid Swap and HyperSwap. I'm doing points by holding like Body and Peep and doing swaps on their platforms. Yeah. But that's like a passive thing. It's not like something I'm farming actively.
Yeah, you it's just go.
Yeah. So the main two things are HyperBeat and Liminal for me. But I think I honestly do recognize that Felix is probably going to be the biggest cook. But I just feel like it's too complex for me to understand. And
I mean, they've got vanilla markets now. So like they've got...
What the fuck? Vanilla is an ice cream flavor. What are you talking about?
No. Like vanilla means like general or like, normal, regular market. So you can lend how you'd normally lend on like Aave, for example. You don't need to do the CDP model if you don't want to. With FEUSD, like minting and stuff, you can just lend Bitcoin or UBTC, the unit of Bitcoin on HyperEVM, and then just borrow USDT0 or USDE from it, and then use that in the ecosystem. It was nice talking to you.
Good chat, bro.
Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah.